Hello folks, in this lecture we are going to talk about Gitignore file. Whenever you are writing your code, sometimes you may need to avoid few files to committed in your repository. If that is the case, you need to remove those files from your repository while pushing your code, or else you need to move those files onto other directory. Instead of doing that stuff, we can use a Gitignore file which helps us to avoid pushing unnecessary files on your repository. Let's go and see how does it work. So this is my local system. I'm under C projects directory. Here we have a repository called Veloxy Git repo. Let me go inside. And if you see, we have HTML related code over here. Let's assume that to develop this project, I'm getting few other ideas where I can improve it. For that, I would like to add a file where I can add some improvements related to this one. So let's think that I'm creating a file called some improvements file. So touch improve.txt. Okay, just I have created improve.txt, and if I go and check git status, I can see improve.txt file is there. Let's assume that I have updated something, and while pushing my changes, even improve.txt also get updated in the code. But I don't want to do that one. If that is the case, we can do git ignore. Okay, let me show you this one over here. So here I can create a git ignore file in my repository from the GUI, or else I can give the va.git ignore. Okay, the file name must be .gitignore. Here I can add my file improve. So okay, that is improve.txt, right? Same name I'm going to give. Okay, I have given this one. Now if I go and check git status, you can see here there is no improve file at all. We can just see git ignore file, but we need to commit this git ignore file. Now let me commit this one. Git status git commit -m added git ignore file. Okay, git push origin master. So I have committed my changes, and if I check git status, nothing is there. But if I go and check it out my repository, so Veloxy Git repo, here you cannot see that file except git ignore file. Now let's assume that I have created few other files, that is touch file1.txt, touch file2.txt. Okay, there is a typo anyway. So now I would like to ignore these files also. Why? Because these two are not related to our project. Then, so again, I can update my git.gitignore file. And here I can add each file, that is file1, there was a typo, right? So file1.txt and file2.txt. Okay. So rather than this one, we can do another way. If all are related to the same extension, we can use the wildcard character star.txt. Now let me save this file, and if I do git log, sorry, if I do git status, we can see here modified only git ignore file. Why? Because even though we have added those, still those are not tracked. If I go and back it out, instead of back it out this one, I can use the git restore command as well. So let's assume that git restore, I'm just backing out these changes. Now if I do git status, again you can see file1 and file2.txt files are there. So again, I'm going to add it back to our Git repository. Just start.txt. Again, if I do git status, now it is only identifying the git ignore, and git add dot git commit -m updated git ignore file git push origin master. Okay. So even though we add git add and we push all our changes, still we could not able to see those files, but only your gitignore file getting updated. This is how we can ignore our files in case if you would like to ignore few files. Okay, that's how we can use the gitignore file to ignore our files. And I have updated one file in our git course. Okay, gitignore file, and here you can see what and all parameters you can use in the gitignore file. It will help you that what combinations you can use in your gitignore file. That's all for this lecture. See you in the next lecture.